The Bumble Fumble got a lot of women talking. They're talking about dating, they're talking about leaving dating altogether, and many were talking about deleting dating apps. Okay, let's have that conversation. A woman reached out on my Instagram. She let me know she was a longtime viewer, and she said, I have an idea. It would be great to hear women's reasons why they left online dating apps. I just left yesterday, and I'm curious, what was the last experience women had and their perspective? We as women keep waiting for these companies to share the stories of couples who match, but I don't think they will do that. So I shared this post. I was like, all right, ladies, why did you leave the dating apps? I asked that question on my community post, and I definitely got some responses. Let's look at some of them. Lamba says they're too exhausting for me. When 19 out of 20 profiles are left swipes and that 20th one never replies back with out of control SE actual forwardness, never wants to meet up, agrees to meet up, but there is no chemistry, meets up and then is overly pushy. Just incredibly exhausting and tiresome. Yenna says dating apps are a big no. Most men in dating apps are married, living separate lives from what they tell you. It's best to go out and meet your person. Dating apps can lead to you getting kidnapped and trafficked as well. It almost happened to me years ago. Ladies, please stay away from dating apps. And then Southern Nappiness said this. A family friend told me 90% of the men on the dating apps were married. She left those apps alone in 2022. Her niece is 27 years old and refuses to touch those apps. The Secret Shade says there's zero effort on their part or they love bomb. There's no in between. And in both cases, they expect sex as quickly as possible. Everyone lies to get it. I'm disgusted at this point. Just leave me the heck alone. I just animate says lying, most certainly. Every time I used them, it was always abusive men trying to slick and stick, essentially masking these extremely alarming characteristics about themselves to force their presence into your life. People love to victim blame when someone eventually finds themselves in a violent situation, mainly because the predator figures their victim is trapped and they can do whatever they want towards this individual, revealing their true selves while blatantly ignoring the fact that predators will do anything in their power to lie, cheat, and take whatever they wish from their potential victims. Remember, if someone attempts to pivot you into a scenario where you lose any sort of independence, run. If you live in a community that promotes these ideals and forces victims into silence about their own personal abusive relationships, run further. Arnold says, I'm an introvert. I don't meet a lot of people outside of work, and I don't date coworkers. So I downloaded a dating app. 90% of the guys I talked to got disgustingly explicit right away, even after I stated I go slow and was not there for sex. Matched with a good looking guy who treated me really well, not pushing my boundaries and letting me take things at my own pace. 6 months later, I get a text from his wife. They are living together, sleeping in the same bed, have kids, and have been married for 16 years. Apparently, a few weeks of no sex because your wife is postpartum equals no longer in a relationship to him. So, yeah, no more dating apps for me. Almost a year of 4B, and my life is so peaceful. I can't imagine going back to dating apps. That sounds terrible. That's horrendous, as the Princess Bride says. And just imagine being that wife and finding out that your husband is on dating apps. That is just terrible. Brianna says there was just too much garbage to dig through. It seemed like a lot of men were lazy, grouchy, and unenthusiastic about dating. This person says the truth is, men simply were not in my league, and this showed in more ways than one. I would never have naturally met most of these men in real life. Some lied about their educational attainment, how many divorces or children they had, where they lived, their height, or what they do for a living. I'm a physician, by the way, and thus very careful with who I bring into my life and want my partner to match me to some degree. I'm honestly better off meeting men in real life. And then Marty B says, mostly men being gross and entitled. After my last ex, I downloaded some just to look around for a minute and be immediately reminded why I didn't like them. No really good stories from them, just the average user experience. Stark Raven Mad says, I stopped using dating apps when Plenty of Fish was new. It was the deepest sledge of sewage I ever tried to wade through. Never went back to any, ever. Last date I went on, he was 20 years older than his pick and said he was sober but showed up drunk. Had a knife cut from ear to base of throat, not included in pics. He lived with his parents and told them he was going on a date with his soon to be wife that he willingly told me about. I was scared, never used a dating app after that. This person responded with, I was on Plenty of Fish and caught a freshly released felon with face tattoos. Ugh. Okay, Toshiba says, there was no point anymore. My mental health was failing, and the work of maintaining a romantic relationship wasn't worth the time. All right, there we go. And then she says, little Morse Cody says, exactly, conserve your energy for protecting and healing yourself, not giving it out to get to know men. Exactly. It does take a lot of mental energy to date. And it seems like these dating apps are very draining. Then, y'all, I got this comment. Fuchsia Lock says, a guy I went on a disastrous second date with in 2017 tortured and unalived his own father in 2022. Nothing else to say, really. Okay, she gave that comment, and I'm like, oh my God, what? After that, I obviously needed to know more. But I was like, what did he do on that date? But whatever he did, it was enough to push this woman away and basically save her life. This woman sent me an email and fleshed out why she decided to stop talking to him, which saved her life. So that will be in the part two. Okay, on my last video, I had asked the question, why did you leave dating apps? And Fuchsia Locke says, a guy I went on a disastrous second date with in 2017 tortured and unalived his own father in 2022. She emailed me the story time about it. She says, hi, Bird. Here are some links to the news reports I was incorrect about 2022. It was 2021. Our two dates were in spring of 2017. My story starts after the links. Okay. She says, Zachary and I matched on a dating app in March of 2017. He was amazing on paper, around my age, in grad school, a musician and artist for both hobby and commissions, was well dressed and well groomed. He was quite tall over me and thick and muscular and just, He was funny and charming in text. We found so much to talk about, and our first date went very well. We shared a huge plate of nachos, sampled drafts, and had a nice time. He texted me as soon as he got home that night, and we continued talking through the next day, and I had high hopes for this one. He asked if he could cook me dinner sometime that week at his home. I was excited to see him again and felt comfortable with him, so I went the following night after work. I work long hours on my feet as a hairstylist, and the fact that this tall, chunky teddy bear of a man wanted to dote on me was pretty much my dating dream come true. He promised a home cooked meal, comfy couch time with him, and his very cute Westie Terrier. More on her later. And movies. Hell yeah, I'm on my way. He didn't cook dinner. He picked up takeout. I was disappointed, but too hungry to care. We ate, then piled onto the couch with his sweet little dog, Zoe, and about 10 minutes later, he wants to make out. I was game for that. I think it's fun on a date when you're both feeling comfortable and the chemistry is there. It was only a few minutes before he made it very clear that he expected to have Nookie that very night. Why, I asked? Because I have bought you dinner twice now. We are adults. This is what we do. Well, long story short, this escalated into the one and only time I've ever argued with a date. He was on one side of the living room, myself on the other. Voices raised, tensions rising. I was unsure of how I was going to get this settled safely. He was so much bigger than me, and we were alone in his house. And he was getting more angry because I was the second woman from a dating app to lead me on like this. I kind of liked you. I was hoping you wouldn't be a tease. We continued to bicker, and that's when Zoe picked sides. She came and set herself at my feet, nearly on my feet, putting herself between us. And judging by her body language, she was concerned for me. This sweet girl had known me all of 90 minutes, and she was choosing me over her owner. This said a lot. I knew I had to get out of there. He then informs me that if we're going to make Nookie, it needs to be right now because he has to get in the car in a few minutes to make a 2.5 hour drive to New Orleans to go to a party with a friend that night, and now he's running late. This offended me even more, and we argued some more, but I wanted out. It's been several years now, so I can't remember how I managed to de escalate the situation, but I got out. I was in survival mode. I got my purse, keys, and phone and pretended not to be angry or scared. I made it out safely with the dog watching me hustle to my car, though I was tempted to be like, Zoe, let's go, get in. We never spoke again. Fast forward to fall 2021. I am working late and overhear the news headlines over the radio. I hear this name and stopped cold. He had tortured and unalived his father. It was days later that his motive was revealed to be that he asked his father for money and his dad said no. So he tortured him for 2 days, then left him to die. My blood runs cold every time I think of him. I was once alone with him and said no to his demands, but I'm still here and his poor dad isn't. In the news clips and mugshot, he looks awful. He barely resembles the charming chunky hunk I met. And he's shown wearing a Joker shirt. If he had shown any type of Joker fandom in his dating app profile, no first date would have happened. Joker fans are huge red flags. She said, thanks for reading my biggest reason for leaving the dating apps shortly after meeting him, and I haven't looked back. Y'all, this is the headline. Alabama man tortured his father to death, taped him to chair, and stuck screws under his fingernails. And this is his mugshot. An Alabama man was arrested this week and charged with multiple felonies after law enforcement authorities say he taped his father to a chair. Oh my gosh. He did this over the course of several days, and all because his dad said no. Imagine if that woman didn't get out of there in time. And like she said, that's the reason why this man, even though he didn't show signs of this, that's the reason why she got off dating apps. And we have got to remember, let us remember this poor girl and her family, Sade Robinson, who was 19 and met this man on a dating app and he dismembered this girl. So I don't think that this is a great time to be out here on these apps. You just never know who you're meeting up with. You never know. So delete your dating apps. They're not safe places to be. And I believe that these people are going to escalate. Jump in the comments. Let me know why you got off of dating apps. If you were ever on dating apps and got off of them. I know and understand that some people do not use dating apps. I'm asking the women who have been on dating apps why you got off dating apps. Jump in the comments, like, comment, and share.
Bumble did it on purpose and they wrote the apology email with the ad campaign. It was a package deal. That marketing package included the list of DV nonprofits that they were going to allow to take the remainder of time that was available for their billboard ad space. The price of those billboards and the donations that they're making to the women's organizations pales in comparison to the quarterly losses that they've been seeing. It was a strategic and targeted approach to let their primary client, which is men, know that they were calling their product back onto the shelves. Reassuring women that they can date and be celibate at the same time was their end goal, because part of their product is paying for their AI services to do the dating for you. Women will not even have to engage with the men. They just need to pay for the subscription service to date for them. So they don't have to do any engagement. There's very little vetting. It's all taken care of. Just pay that monthly subscription fee. Nice and safe. And reassuring their clients, the men, that all they need to do is pay for the AI dating subscription service too, in order to match what's going on with the women, with their product. What they have in mind is actually the interest of neither. Subscription service is the key to regenerative, consistent revenue. We all know the marketing strategy is give away a little bit of something for free, pay a lot of money for a one-time usage or subscribe and save. Then they forget. Like people, I mean, there are apps just dedicated to helping people see what subscriptions they have so that they can make choices about cleaning all of that up. Unsubscribing is never as simple and easy as subscribing. And once they have your information, they are allowed and they will hit you back up. Like part of your I want to unsubscribe comes with a we may still reach out to see if you still want to stay out. This ad campaign was a brilliant strategy to convert their customers to product. So the women were already the product, and now they need to make the men the product. The purpose of the apps isn't to make matches. The purpose of the apps is to keep you in the dating apps, to keep regenerating revenue. They've admitted that. So Bumble is now the customer, the client, and both parties are the product. And AI as like personal assistant in dating, so you can feel like you have a cheap personal assistant. The most ideal outcome for them would be to have no one ever actually meeting, virtual dating only, so you can just check on your AI and see how their relationships are going. Like literally having you living a virtual life online. Decades ago, we used to have these little fobs that we would carry around, and it had like a plant or a cat or a little like just a shape in there that we had to like feed at certain times and water at certain times and then like give it love at certain times in order to keep it alive. And sometimes we would check on those and they would, oh my gosh, I didn't feed it enough, I didn't give it enough love, and it would like croak. This is where dating apps are headed, is that you're going to have to check in on your AI dating person, and then it will give you like positive feedback about how your dating life is going, how your AI, oh my God.